So chapter 2, underwriting. So as part of underwriting, we're going to see how do we issue motor cover notes, okay, for both single cover and fleet. We're going to see non-motor risk notes covering all general insurances, and then we will see medical insurance. How do we issue risk note for medical insurance, and we'll see how do we issue risk notes for life risk notes. Okay, so let's get started with chapter 2, underwriting. So how do we issue cover notes or risk notes from smart policy? Okay, we're going to see that. So the first step to issue cover note or risk note is through the quotation. So first is what we create is the quotation. We create the quotation, customer confirms the quotation, and then we convert that quotation into risk note or a cover note. Okay, so let us first see how do we issue motor quotation. Okay, and then we will see how do we convert that quotation into a risk note or a cover note. Okay, so I go to the quotation screen from here. All right, now you can see it is a similar kind of screen that we saw, and we have practiced on client screen. The client screen looks exactly like this particular screen. See here we have got two sections. The screen is divided into two parts, that is called search part and the data part. There is no data, so it says no data available, and then you can see the search part, and then you can see the button search, add, refresh, home. They are the same buttons that you see here. The search criteria are changed, and every screen will have their own search criteria. This is what we need to understand, but in general the screen will exactly work the same way that you have practiced in the client screen, right? Okay, so now I have to add a new quotation. So how do I add a new quotation? By clicking on add. Okay, so when I click on add, smart policy will ask me what insurance type you want to issue. So it will give me the list of all the insurance classes here. All right, and then I'll select vehicle here. Either I'll select vehicle here, or I can to make it quick selection, I can just simply type here vehicle. I do not have to type the whole word. Simply few words when I type, it gives me the exact search related to what I have typed, and I'll select that. So when I select vehicle insurance type, a screen will appear for me to capture the vehicle details, the motor details. Okay, so that's it. So now before we capture motor details, we have to first capture the basic information. Okay, and this basic information would be common for all the policies. Okay, so let me capture, for example, client. Okay, let me capture with the client. Now I say David, my existing client, David Beckham. Wonderful. So when I said David, I see two Davids appearing here. I will select David Beckham, and that's it. The moment I select David Beckham, insured name will come automatically. Okay, the address for the client will come automatically. So you see, when the customer is listed, like for example, once again, when I am keying in the customer name, the customers will appear in the list, with the relevant name that you have typed. Yeah, you have to select the name. That is very important. You have to select the customer from the list. That is very, very important. Otherwise you will not be able to save the quotation. All right, now let's say this customer was an existing customer, so you are able to type the name and get the customer from the list. But what if the customer is not there in the system? For example, Quest. Okay, for example, I say Quest. Okay, Quest Zambia Limited, for example. If I say no, that customer is not there, it's a new customer. Once again, let me type and see, no, the customer is not appearing in the list. In that case, I have to create a new customer. Now how do I create the new customer? How do we create a customer? You have to go to the setup and clients, correct? But here there is a shortcut, so you do not have to go to this process to create the client. You can simply click the shortcut here that is called click here for a new client. When you click on it, you can see the same screen appears to capture the client. So let me capture the client. I say Quest Zambia Limited, for example. All right, Quest Zambia Limited. It's a corporate, for example. Okay, It's an agri-business, for instance. It's not an agri-business. You can say it is a well, if at all any name that you're looking for doesn't appear in the list, you can simply choose others. Okay, then you can put the VRN, the VAT registration number, for example. That's a VAT registration number. What is the contact person? For example, Mr. John, he's the contact person. What is the TIN, tax identification number? This is the tax identification number, for example. Now address, you can say, for example, Lusaka, Zambia, and let me also put the PO box. Well, it is important to have your customers information as part of KYC. You put the mobile numbers, for example, right? Then you have email, for example. So you just put for example, Quest. You can say info@quest.com, for example, right? So you save the customer. Look at this. The moment you save the customer, insured name is already available here. You are free to put the insured name to the required name. For example, I would say Mrs. For example, I would say for example, Shaleen, for instance. So she's maybe the owner of this company, and that's the insured name. All right. So let me go back to this section once again. This particular section is and going to be common for all the policies. So we need to be very sure to understand this section well, because this will appear in every policy that you're going to capture. Okay, so insurer name would be, for example, Madison. You'll have all the list of insurance companies in Zambia. Select your preferred insurance company, for example. Okay, what is the currency? Currency, if it is a dollar currency, what will happen is it will show you the exchange rate. Now this exchange rate will basically come from the currency master. So on daily basis or on weekly basis or on monthly basis, you can put the exchange rate of dollar. All right, and that will come automatically, so you do not have to change every time when you select the dollar currency. Okay, for policy. So let me select Zambia Kwacha. Okay, the exchange rate is 1, obviously. Then you have date from. Now date from can be from the date you want to start the policy. For example, it can be 26th onwards, right? It can be 26. Now it can be a short-term policy period as well. So short-term policy period will always have a pro rata premium calculation. All right. Now then there is a branch that is automatically selected. Now you see, once you are using the systems, you may use the system for your multiple branches, and your users would be linked to the specific branch. So the moment that user books the quotation, it automatically selects the branch of that particular user. Okay, then you say business by. Now business by, obviously one who is booking the quotation, that is his business. But having said this, if this business was was bought by your sub agent, for example, so you can you can put the name of the sub agent who has got this business for you, and you can track, okay, how many what business has got by what people, so you can track it very easily, right? So for now, let me keep it Tanveer DK. That's me who is booking the business for now, and I'm the one who is who has got that business. Okay, then you have some flag called non-renewable. So for example, you do not want this policy to appear in the renewals. Okay, so you can simply check it. So what will happen is this will not appear in your renewal list. Okay, besides system sends automatic SMS and email reminders, so this particular policy will not be as part of that renewal reminders. I want this should be there for renewal. They should be selected for renewal and reminders. So I want to remove that flag. I'm removing that flag. Then you say first loss payee. Now first loss payee, for example, this policy is funded by bank, so I'll say Barclays, for instance. Okay, that's the first loss payee. So this information that you have captured here will be in all the policies. You will have to capture this information. the below part that you see will change for each class of insurance. All right. As we have now captured the basic details of the customer for capturing the quotation, now we shall capture the cover information, for instance. Okay, so insured name was already selected. I'll be selecting insurance type. So if I select insurance type as commercial, you will see all the commercial classes, which will have passenger vehicles, oil tankers, you see, general cartage. So you'll have all those classes of commercials, and there will be predefined rates for each of these subclasses. Okay, besides those rates can be then overridden, and we're going to see how that works. So for now, let me take a vehicle policy, private vehicle, private cover, and I'm going to take comprehensive. Okay, I'm going to put the registration number as AGR, for example. That's the registration number. Vehicle make. Now system has got exhaustive list of vehicles. So for example, if it is a Toyota Land Cruiser, for example, Toyota, okay, I say Land Cruiser, for instance. Okay, so automatically, the vehicle type will come automatically out there. All right. Now supposing that any vehicle that you are trying to cover, that vehicle does not appear from the list. For example, when I say Toyota, for example, is a new model of Toyota, you can say Cruiser, for instance. For example, this is not there. So in that case, how do you create this vehicle make? So you have to click here, new vehicle. Okay, and then you will have to then capture that new vehicle. You can say Toyota, for example. Okay, Cruiser, for example, it's a new one, Cruiser X, for example. All right, and this is also a station wagon, for example, and you can save it. Now when you create this new vehicle, okay, you see this goes in the centralized database of this make and model. Whoever creates a new vehicle, we request them to create them with full responsibly, because this information would be used by other people who are using the system as well, right? So this goes to the centralized database of the vehicles list, okay, in the system. All right, so let me take something which is there, Land Cruiser, for example. Select Land Cruiser. Okay, now I'll capture engine number, for instance, chassis number I'll capture. Okay, manufacturing year I'll say 2014, color is white, sum assured I say this would be 75,000 kwacha, for instance. Yeah, and simply I say compute. Now when I say compute, what happens is the rate comes automatically. Okay, and the premium is calculated automatically. You can also see the total premium here, the training levy computed here, you see. So this is your total receivable, this is your commission. So after commission, this is what you are going to remit to the insurance company, for example. So this calculation will be done automatically. Now for example, you wanted to give excess, you wanted to charge excess to the customer. Excess buyback 10%, it is going to add 10% to this, and that's it. The premium, the excess is charged here. Geographical extension, for example, if you want to charge, here it is. All right. Similarly, if you have to give like discounts, for example, GPS tracking installed, right? If you want to give discount there, additional discount of like 10%, if you want to give, you can give additional discount of 10% as well. So that's how the computation on the excess and discounts will work. All right. Besides, if you want to use override, so you do not want to use these excess and these discounts, you want to use your own rate. So for example, you can give that 5.5, for example, when you simply say 5.5. So that's your premium. So when you give this override, you will actually supersede excess and this discount. So you can simply remove it. So it is not going to make any difference anyway, but I'm just going to remove this. So when you give override, this will supersede excess and discounts. All right. And besides, you can also use this adjust premium. Adjust premium can be used, like for example, you want to make it round to 4,000 kwacha, and you want to remove this 1 to 5, you say -1 to 5, and you say compute. You see, this becomes like you want to make it 4,500, for example. You say 375, you can add additional, for instance, that becomes 4,500. I guess this is very clear, right? Okay. So this is how the premium calculations you can do. If the premium is not getting accurate, you can always use adjust premium, and you can always get your desired premium. Okay, so once you did this computation, the computation is okay. Now you insert. Now when you insert, what happens is system is allowing you to capture some other registration number if you want to. So in case of fleet, you can go on adding multiple vehicles in a single quotation, and that will be converted into risk note. We're going to see that, but for now I just wanted to show you how a single cover note for single vehicle can be created. Okay, so done. So once you have done this, you see terms and clauses can come automatically. You see, you can predefine terms and clauses from here. Set up limits, so you can set up limits for every class of insurance. So the moment you select that class of insurance, terms and clauses can come automatically. Okay, but now I believe we have not done any configurations there, so it's not appearing here. But we can always write the terms and clauses. For example, if I say excess, and I say 5% of claim minimum. I can say minimum how much? Minimum, for example, $200. Okay, for example, you can have your own class, clauses, and you can do the needful. All right, so save it. All right, so as you save, you see the quotation is created. You can give him the quotation printout. This quotation printout, you can say that this is a pre-risk note document, you see, so the customer can receive this, for example, with all these informations. It's all there, with the access. Now if this customer is a corporate customer, you can save this as a PDF. You can save this as a PDF, right? And you can email this to the customer. If a customer is sitting in front of you, all right, you can print this document, you can show it to him, and he understands that this is what he's supposed to pay. For example, he will simply sign, and that's it. He confirms that yes, this is what it is, and I'm going to pay this much, and that's it. Yeah, then you will be issuing with the risk note. So you click on the risk note screen here. Risk note is created here. All right, so now once the risk note is issued, now what happens is you can go to the risk note screen from here, or you can go to risk note screen from here. This is a shortcut. So when you click from here, so you will only see the risk note of that particular quotation that has been created. Okay, so that's the risk note record. Now you will be printing the risk note from here. So when I click on print, what it says is please specify the sticker number. So this is the sticker, the disk number that you need to capture here, that has been received from the insurance companies. Okay, you can say update, right? Risk note, the disk is updated, and now you say print. Now when you print, look at this. This is a beautiful risk note that comes. You can see the excess that you have updated is here. So whatever terms and conditions that you put will appear here. So you will see your logo on top. You see the details of the customer, the policy cover period you will see, right? The first loss payee if it is there. Then the logo of the insurance company is also here. Okay, well, we recommend that you should take the permission of the insurance company to use their logos on your risk note, and we can enable that logo for you. Okay, that's it. Then you scroll down, you will see the schedule. You can say policy schedule, with all the the limits and benefits of that particular policy. All right, so this is a beautiful risk note that will be printed from the system. Okay, now you would like to now create the debit note, correct? So debit note is the moment you have issued the risk note, debit note is already there. You have to simply go to the debit note screen and you have to simply print the debit note. So how do you go to the debit note screen? You go from here, debit note, or you go from here. That's a shortcut. So when you click on the debit note from the wrist note screen, you will only see that debit note related to that wrist note. Okay, so you can see that this is the amount paid is 0, for example. The balance is this much. Now let's say of course you have to print the debit note, so print here. So that's your debit note here. So this is the the premium basically. All right, so now what happens is this is sorted, the debit note is created. Now customer is paying you cash, for example. You're going to collect cash. So here there is a button called collect cash. So now there is a new button here, this $sign, you're collecting cash from here. Collect cash. When you say collect cash, what happens is here it is. So this is the amount is like, for example, he's paying you 3000 kwacha, for example. All right, 3000 kwacha. The mode is probably he's giving you check. So now when you try to save, it will ask you, because it is a check mode, you need to put the check reference number. Okay, that's it. Once this is done, you see automatically when you click collect cash on that particular debit note, this notes will be automatically created for you. All right, so you do not have to write anything, or you can change the way you want to see. There is a cover note. I don't want that cover note to be there, or I can say received against, for example. I can just simply mention received against. I can change that against policy for vehicle, example, so and so. So save. That's it. Now you can see here total amount was this, amount paid was 3000, balance is this much. Okay, so now I go to the receipt because I've captured the receipt. I can go to the receipt from here, or I can go from here. That's a shortcut. Now when I click on the receipt from the debit note screen, I'll be only seeing that receipt that has been issued against the debit note. So here it is. I'm going to print the receipt now. So that is the receipt, you see, with all the narration that you have captured. This is a check number, right? And also you have allocated, you see, once you have said collect cash on the debit note, you have received the money against that debit note. So you can see here that this is the debit note. This was the total amount in the debit note. The paid amount was 3000 kwacha, and now balance is 1635. So when a customer carries the receipt, he will know that you see there is a balance that he is supposed to pay. Okay, so this is how you capture the quotation. The quotation is captured. Once the quotation is captured, confirmed, you will be issuing the cover note. Okay, once the cover note is issued, wrist note is issued, you will have a ready debit note with you. Okay, you have to simply print the debit note, and then after that on the debit note you can simply say collect cash. Collect cash will basically enable you to capture the receipt. Okay, and then once the receipt is captured, you will then print the receipt. So customer will be carrying with him the cover note with your logo, and the insurance company's logo, the debit note with your logo, and the receipt, right? So this is how you will be performing your underwriting task, and this particular flow that you see here, okay, this will be common for all the policies that you issue. Okay, so you start with capture quote. Okay, then once you capture the quote and the customer confirms the quote, you issue the wrist note. Okay, once you issue the wrist note, then that's it. You can go to the wrist note screen, you will print the wrist note, and then from the wrist note screen you will then go to the debit note screen, you will print the debit note, then you will capture the receipt against the debit note, and then you will print the receipt. So this is how your underwriting process flow will work, not just for motor but for all the policies. So capture quote state, the quotation screen will allow you to capture quotation for any kind of insurance class. Okay, So this is what we have covered for single motor, and now we will be seeing how to issue a fleet policy. So for fleet, again we have to go to quotations. Okay, quotation is the screen where it's a starting point of creating any policies. Then you say add, you select vehicle, right, select the existing client David Beckham, for example. Insurance is, this time I'm going to select A plus general insurance company, for example. Rest of the things are just the same. I don't want to change that. Private vehicle, this time I'm going to select third party only. Registration is ABC, for example. That's the registration number. Now you see, sometimes if the vehicle is already registered, it would show you that this vehicle is already insured with Madison General Insurance Company and is still active. The vehicle is covered under carrying own goods, something like that. So you know before you are actually covering the vehicle, you know that this vehicle is already covered. So this appeared as a good example randomly while I was capturing the vehicle number. So ABC 8873, I'll say this is for example Toyota, I will say Noah, for example. Simply I'll just put Noah, for example. Okay, Toyota Noah, for example. That's the engine number, that's it. Manufacturing year is 2014, color is white, and I say compute. Now because it's a third party, I do not have to put the sum assured, that's actual premium. I say insert, right? Now you see I have created one record for one vehicle. Now I'm going to put another vehicle. For example, I say TE or GTE, for example. That's the vehicle registration number. Now it's your choice. Normally in fleet what happens is the vehicle make remains the same, only registration number and the engine number and the chassis number changes. So rest of the things are just the same. And insert, if you want to change, you can change, there's not a problem. You can even change the class of the vehicle, for example. So now this is like, for example, I'm going to put another vehicle that is this, and this is not Noah, this is, for example, Toyota Wish, for example. Okay, engine number is this. Okay, and I wanted to make this as a comprehensive vehicle. Okay, compute sum assured, I would say the sum assured would be 50,000. Okay, compute, and I say insert. So that's it, that's how it is. Here I am going to capture excess, okay, 5%, the claim minimum $200, for example. Okay, save. You see it's the quotation is created. What you can do is you can say print quotation. Now we look at the quotation, how it appears. You see, for multiple vehicles you can see multiple records under single quotation. Look at this. So you can save this and you can send this to the client. As the client confirms, now what you do is you say issue risk note, same thing. Now when you say issue risk note, now let's see what happens. Risk note issued. Now I go to the risk note through this screen so that I only see those cover notes that are issued against that quotation. So you can see three quotations, three risk notes issued here. Can you see that? Okay, so now you see you need to update the disk numbers. So now if you were to update the disk numbers for all these policies, all these risk notes manually, assuming that you have hundreds of records, it will be very difficult for you to update the risk notes, update the disk numbers manually. So what you do is the best idea is know what is the debit note number. So what is the debit note number? For example, if you click on any of these risk notes, you will get the debit note number. What is the debit note number? 179. Okay, the debit note number. All right. Now this 179, what you do is you now go to a screen called update fleet info. You go here, you put the debit note number 179. You can see here you get the all those vehicles together. So this becomes very easy for you to just update the sticker number. Now this is the sticker number. Okay, 1 2 3 you have given there, and save it. That's it, it is saved already. Okay, now what do? You go back to the risk note screen once again here. So there is only one debit note that you will see. You see there is one quotation for all these three policies. Similarly, there is only one debit note for all these risk notes. So I'll go to debit note screen just to show you. Okay, and I'm going to print the debit note, and you can see one debit note for all these fleet risk notes. Okay, making sense? Now I want to show you how do you print the risk notes. We have not seen how do we print the risk notes. Printing one by one would be another hassle, right? So what you do is you go to the reports, all reports, you look for risk notes, for example. Okay, risk notes. So you just type risk, print multiple risk notes. Okay, this one, what was the debit note number? 179, for example. So you just put the debit note number here, and you say simply show report. Now when you say show report, now you will see all these risk notes that you can print together. Yes, so that is how you will have to handle the fleets, right? There is a little change in the way you capture the sticker numbers, that's it, and the way you print, to make it very easy for you. You can print the way you want to print from the risk note screen also, there is not a problem, but to make it more efficient, we have given you an option to update all the disk number through this update fleet info, and to print all the risk notes through this one option. So at one click you print all the risk notes all together. Okay, now let's go back to the debit note. Okay, the debit note is created for Mr. David Beckham, and this is what the amount is. He has not paid anything, so let's say we are capturing his cash, for example. He's going to pay us cash, and you can see here it's for fleet, right? He's paying the whole amount. You say save. See, amount paid is 0, there's nothing balance. Okay, now you go to receipts, okay, and you print the receipt, right? That's it. So this is how your fleet will be also handled in the system. So in a way, if you really see, what we have done is we have just executed the same flow. We have captured the quote, yeah, and when we have captured the quote, we have added multiple vehicles in the same quote. Then the customer has confirmed the quote. Then we have issued the risk note. Now when we have issued the risk note, there were multiple risk notes. Okay, now because it was a multiple risk note and we wanted to update the disk numbers, so there was another option there. We went to that particular screen, just put the debit note number. We need to first identify what is the debit note number for this particular fleet. So with that debit note number, you go and update fleet info and then you update the respective relevant disk numbers against each of the cover note or the risk note, right? Then you went for the reports. In the reports, you have searched for print multiple risk note report, and you have just keyed in the debit note number and you simply said show report. So all the risk note appeared all together. Then you went to the debit note screen, you have printed the debit note, then you have captured the receipt and you have printed the receipt. The same flow, I believe. Makes very simple. I hope you will practice this to know how this flow works. I would recommend you to practice more and more on motor so that rest of the policies becomes very easy for you. And I recommend that you should do at least 10 policies of motor and at least 3 to 4 policies of fleet, so that you will get a complete sense of control over how the system works. You will get a complete sense of control on the process of underwriting, and it will be very easy for you to understand and grab the remaining risk notes that I'm going to teach you.